Hello everybody and welcome back to the end of year live stream 2025. Today we have lots in store and we can't wait to get started. Before we do, let's review what we are going to be looking at in today's stream. First of all, we have our best moments. This is a whole 20-minute video with us live narrating over the top to basically about all of our best moments live. Also answer what you put in the chat. We then have our best photos of 2025 and we'll basically talk a little bit behind the scenes on them as well, and also just talk about how we kind of got the photo. We then also have 2 new trailers which we will reveal at near end tonight, and I just can't wait to show you them. It's been in the works for a very long time now, some of them since October. We also have an outro of 2025, and that is basically all of our best clips put into one. And yeah, and we also do have 2 different also have 2 different types of questions. Sorry for that audio cut out there, as this does happen quite a lot in the stream, but yeah, we'll try and pick up from our words. And let's dive straight into it on our best moments of 2025. So
here we go. We have got 41 episodes released this year, which is absolutely unbelievable. Some have been public, and most have been public, and a few have been on unlisted. Now, we have done 41, and I've picked 15 of the best to put in this really long video, where we're going to be going through 15 of our best episodes. Let's get straight into it.
So we start our best episodes on the 11th of January 2025, and this was one of our first episodes, yet it's made it into our best encounters because of the encounter. It's a very elusive owl. It's the tawny owl. This is not a star because you can definitely see a bit of the tree outlining right here and the tawny owl. This is just crazy. This bird is the most common owl to see in the UK, but it also is ranked as one of the hardest to actually see. And in the day, I don't even know how people do it, but I'm just still shocked that we even saw it. And it's commonly heard, but not commonly seen, especially in the dark. Okay, so after reviewing the footage, we have actually found the owl, and we definitely know this is the owl. One, because of the shape, and if we just go in a bit more right here, you can kind of see the shape of an owl there. It definitely looks like a tawny, and they're quite big as well. And as well, we know that is a tree because you can see the tiny details of a tree also there. So see that right there, that is a tree. And then, well, the tawny owl, what an incredible encounter that was. And I mean, it was just so amazing that we managed to get the tawny owl all in one night's filming. And in fact, most of our episodes here on Animals with AB are quite planned. You see, this was actually more 4 months in the making, and it took one night just to get the tawny owl. And the reason why is because the tawny owl is, it's our most common owl in the UK, yet it's one of the most elusive, being a nocturnal owl. This means that basically we can only go out at the night using special equipment, which really is great to use and something we only really got introduced to in 2025. You see, the only way we tracked this owl down was because my dad heard it late at night. And I never thought, we'd have tawny owls near me because I live in a lot of, fields, and all the forests that are nearby are quite far away. So I thought I'd never be able to hear one. However, it was definitely a tawny owl. And then we got Thomas over, and Thomas, you can talk about the tech we used.
Yeah, so we used infrared goggles to see in the dark, basically. It was absolutely pitch black outside. We did have one torch with us, but obviously that can't make us see fully in the dark. Whereas these infrared goggles really helped us. We could probably see about 100 to 150 metres in front of us. And I've just been doing a tiny bit of research. I don't know too much about this, but infrared basically is part of the electromagnetic spectrum where people can encounter this. They encounter the waves. The human eye cannot see it, but humans can detect it as heat. So basically that's how we saw this tiny white dot in the centre there of the tawny owl. Now, I'll definitely say this was probably one of our best animal encounters of the year. We used the infrared goggles, and it was probably one of the rarer things we saw. And it's definitely something we want to look for in 2026 as one of our special episodes, to find a tawny owl.
Alright, let's move on to our next animal encounter. There's the owl on the tree.
So this was filmed in Woburn Forest in Bedfordshire, a place known for having squirrels, even melanistic black squirrels. But this one was filmed for the common grey squirrel.
And these peanuts are what I'll be feeding it with. But how close will it come? We'll find out later, but first let's find some squirrels in the forest.
Now, so we then went in the forest to see these wild and very confident grey squirrels. Zach went up to this pine tree and they were not scared at all. But there was another way of filming these guys, and that was like it normally is for filming animals, using food.
And the peanuts were all I needed. Because the squirrels were certainly pretty confident. The squirrels were absolutely amazing, so I wanted to see what Zach thought about them coming this close.
Oh my goodness.
So
He just reached right there to get the peanut. Oh my goodness. Look at this. How close can I get? Look at him.
So they were the very confident grey squirrels. I would probably say these guys have lost their natural fear of humans because of the food. Now, these guys are not very popular in the UK for one main reason. They came from America and spread their diseases that the red squirrels, our native, beautiful red squirrels, can't handle, which is very unfortunate. But the truth is, it's not really their fault, to be honest. It's literally just humans' fault who introduced them, who let them escape. Now, Zach, you've got a pretty funny story about how these guys were trying to get in, and I'm sure a few of the viewers watching can probably remember this.
Yes, so when we was actually filming that episode, we did have one very funny thing. Because of these squirrels were so tame and used to humans here at Centre Parks in Woburn, that meant that they tried to get into our hotel room just to try and get at the peanuts. And it was very funny, but you did see some footage back there. They were really tapping on the glass, and I reckon if we opened that door, they would come straight in. So yeah, it was definitely some management to try and keep them out of that hotel room. Let's move on to our next animal encounter. So this was on the 12th of April 2025, and as you can see, this was the quest for the hawfinch, and this was definitely a very big project of mine, and it was actually the rarest animal and bird we have encountered this whole year on AB. That I will never forget. The hawfinch is here. The hawfinch is here. The hawfinch is at the top of that tree over there. I could not believe my eyes. I have somehow managed to find the Hawfinch with less than 1,000 breeding pairs and probably only 3,000 mature adults, and they was one of them, right. Well, the Hawfinch, how incredible was that? Our rarest bird and animal, as I said. And I mean, it really did take a long time. Now, Thomas, you did hear this story from me, so do you want to kind of explain that?
Yeah, these guys were very difficult to film, especially because of how similar they look to a few different birds, the great tits and also the chaffinches. Zach, tell us how difficult this was.
Yes, so the Hawfinch, when I first looked at it on this Facebook group, I thought, wow, it's really close to me in this graveyard. Bit of a weird place to choose, but I suppose they like the trees around there. And it is a really nice graveyard, except, you know, there's graves in there. But anyway, getting back onto it, so the Hawfinch, it was very hard to find, mainly because of how similar it looked to, well, you know, chaffinches and great tits. And I mean, especially the chaffinches, I thought they looked exactly like the Hawfinch. And in fact, it took me 3 days to find this Hawfinch and 2 mornings. On the first day, I was there in the afternoon, and a couple bird watchers were pretty much telling me, you know, you've got to be there earlier morning. So we then went the next week, because obviously I had school. And on the Saturday, we went in the morning, and it was about 8 a.m, and these bird watchers were leaving, and yeah, basically they said, you know, you've got to go even earlier. So we got up on the Sunday at around, I think 7 or 6:30 a.m, I can't remember the exact time, but we got up and yeah, we went there, and I was there for about 7, I know that. And yeah, when I was there at 7, I was there for a whole hour looking round. My hopes were going by the minute. And then, luckily, at 8 a.m, we managed to get the Hawfinch. And it was just an incredible encounter, and one I will never forget. Let's move on to our next animal encounter. In front of me.
So this location was discovered quite a bit before, you can see there, the 10th of May, because I was in a forest and I found a fence. Now, I didn't want to go through the fence immediately, so I came back a few days later, decided, you know what, I'm going to go through. And then I thought, it looks a bit, you know, built up, it might be owned by someone. So I decided I'm not going to go through, I'm going to wait till Zach comes, and hopefully we can actually, you know, go through a bit safer.
This place is crazy. Foxes in the daytime. I've only ever seen that on the trap camera. I'll show you the footage now. This place is like an animal haven. There's so much stuff here. Yeah, it's moving. Film it, film it.
So there you go, the wonderful wildlife haven where we encountered the red fox. We did also see here, though, a lot of other things like butterflies, buzzards, tree creepers, woodpeckers, and also deer. Now, the fox footage you see on here, the fox photo, sorry, it's not actually taken at the same time we saw these foxes. This was taken a lot later when I was actually a lot braver to go through on my own, and I managed to find these sleeping foxes. If you watched the AB Advent not long ago, you would have seen these unbelievable foxes in the December 1st one. Now, I cannot believe how good this place was for wildlife. Clearly, they never see people because, to be honest, they did not fear us at all. All they did when they saw us was just stare at us. It was absolutely amazing to see. Now, I'm definitely going to go through again in 2026 with Zach and look for these foxes. But I think it's very important to remember how this place became called the Wildlife Haven, because we saw butterflies flying around all the time, green, blue, yellow, red ones everywhere. And I just thought to myself, this is always what I imagined as a wildlife haven, a wildlife paradise. Zach, what happened next time we went through though?
Well, unfortunately, the next time we went through, we did have a bit of a shock. You see, I was looking in this bush, and it was actually a butterfly that caught my attention. And as I went in to just kind of look at this butterfly, I saw a person on their bike. I signalled Thomas to, you know, come in the bush, because I thought we could get away with it. But Thomas stayed outside instead, because he thought, you know what, I'm going to talk to this person. And you basically told them that we were, you know, studying media studies, which is half true. And yeah, they bought into it, and we were just actually filming the wildlife there, which they did see and knew. And then they let us go a bit further on. We didn't really see that much, and we decided to just head back. back out, and we haven't been there back since. So yeah, it was a brilliant and beautiful place, and I wish we can go back there one day with permission. Let's move on to our next animal encounter. So this was on the 23rd of May 2025, and this was The Secret Life of the Kestrel, a project that I started around 5 to 6 months ago. So I did start some of the footage and filming in 2024. But yeah, I managed to meet this kestrel, Enzo, and actually hold him. So take a look at this. This was just incredible. With getting so many close encounters in the wild, in my opinion, nothing prepared me for this moment on getting so close to the kestrel. My second favourite bird, my favourite raptor. It was so amazing. I was very struck by this experience, and I was also a little bit scared during it because I had the realisation that it could just rip my face apart in seconds. But luckily this is a trained kestrel called Enzo, and he was just brilliant. Well, the kestrel, how incredible was that? I got to meet Enzo, this kestrel that I actually did not plan to meet. You see, this was a birds of prey experience that I got for my birthday, and each time they brought a bird out, you did not know, what bird you was basically going to handle. And when the kestrel came out, I thought, wow, perfect. I can put this in my secret life of the kestrel. And I mean, holding one and looking at one up close is so different to seeing them and filming them in the air. And yeah, that was just a beautiful episode and definitely deserves its place on the best moments. So, Thomas, have you got anything else to add on that?
Yeah, so this is not about the kestrel, this is about the bird of prey experience where we went to handle them on Zach's birthday, actually. And we saw my favourite owl species, the white-faced Scots owl, which was an owl called Oscar I have actually met before at another birds of prey experience. And then we also met the bald eagle. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much these weigh. I'll probably come back to it later, but I'd imagine from the weight it was on my hand and Zach's hand, probably around 10 kilograms. Now, there's about 20 other people there just staring at us, watching and holding these bald eagles. And we were trying to look strong enough to just hold it out in front of us for as long as possible to get the photos, to get the videos in. But to be honest, it was a very heavy bird. The other ones were very light, so I didn't expect it to be so heavy. But when this thing is looking into your eyes with its massive beak and it's so heavy, it is quite intimidating. These bald eagles are absolutely massive.
Yeah, I mean, holding that bird, I'll be honest, near the end, I was getting very scared with the bald eagle that I'd actually just drop it because it was so heavy, and I only had 2 questions in my mind. 1, how does this thing even fly? And 2, am I going to drop this? And to add another one on, which I forgot to mention, number 3, is that the bald eagle was staring at us so intensely. It had a massive beak compared to the kestrel, and yeah, it was just a mammoth of a bird. But obviously it is tame, and yeah, none of us got harmed. So let's move on to our next animal encounter. So this was on the 21st of June 2025, our first abroad episode, and this was the birds of Central Macedonia. Now, Central Macedonia is actually in Greece, but it is referred as that. And we saw so much bird life in this Central Macedonia/Greece area. And one we do really want to highlight today as well is the common crane. I just saw 2 cranes. I don't know the exact species, but I'll try and have a look. But that is insane. I got footage on my phone, pretty good footage, and I obviously got a tiny bit on my camera by the time I got it out. That is really cool to see. So by the looks of it, it looks like a common crane because I could see a little red cloud down on the head of the crane. So I believe it's a common crane which is here in Central Macedonia/Greece. Well, the birds of Central Macedonia / Greece. It definitely did not disappoint. And I mean, me and Thomas were discussing earlier, we think the common crane was actually one of the most underrated encounters. Because you see, it all started, I was in Central Macedonia, going to some places, especially like this nature reserve, to try and film and photograph the flamingo, which we did see in that episode. But the common crane, this was completely unplanned. I think one of our only unplanned encounters. You see, I never saw that on, birds you might see in this area. And then when we went to this place to actually look for some old ancient Roman like ruins, it was actually like closed off for renovation, which is quite odd considering it's, ancient, ruins. But anyway, and we just went to some interactive thing, but on the path on the way back and on the way there were so many common cranes circling around. It was just incredible.
Yeah, and he also, I would definitely say, you saw some amazing birds in Greece. For those of you who don't remember, he did also see flamingos, hoopoes, and also greenfinch, which are very, very cool encounters. But yeah, the common crane, one of the tallest and biggest flying birds in the world, definitely a very underrated encounter.
And I also did see the hooded crow. Now let's move on to our next animal encounter.
So this was an episode filmed on the 23rd of July 2025, and it was in a search for the UK's most graceful falcon. It was at a reservoir I'd been to a lot of times when I was younger, but had not been to for a long time. And I will say one thing, it definitely delivered on my return to this location. We saw so many amazing birds like black swans, we also saw this reed warbler, and yeah, it was definitely one of our best locations for wildlife.
We also did see that most graceful falcon, the hobby.
Literally somewhere around here, which is a really cool bird of prey we have in the UK. Yeah, he's going with the gulls now, trying to get some food, I think.
No, he's over there.
No, he's not. He's there. See that one there?
Is that him? Yeah.
Yeah, that's. There.
This is a quite hard bird to see in the UK, and I have never seen it before, so I was very excited to see this bird. And we definitely know it is not a kestrel, as throughout the whole time we saw this bird, which could have been probably about 10 minutes plus, it did not hover while it was hunting, which a kestrel definitely would do. Number two, they are a little smaller in size to the kestrel and have a very different silhouette.
So there you go, the wonderful hobby, one of the most graceful birds of prey in the UK. And now I must say, just right now, thank you for everyone who's been watching so far. We've had 14 people on at one point, which is great. Thank you everyone for that. We've got Ethan on, we've got Michael, we've got Emma, and I'm sure we've got a lot of other, we've got Val, we've got a lot of people as well, which is nice. We've got one from ZT Trains. Where is that? I'm not going to answer that. This is a public stream and it is kind of an undisclosed location. We also got, what have we got? What is the wingspan of a kestrel? Well, I've got that up right now. About 71 to 80 centimetres. So it's not massive, but also probably bigger than you might think. We'll answer a few more of the questions in a minute, but yeah. This was the hobby. Now, we actually at first thought this could have been a kestrel, but then we figured out this thing has been gliding over water for absolutely ages, which kestrels don't do, because these hobbies will be feeding on fish, small birds, and also dragonflies, whereas kestrels don't feed on the same food. And also, this guy was not hovering at any point, which kestrels will always do when they're hunting. So we came to the conclusion that this is a hobby. And now we've watched the footage back a lot, we can definitely confirm that. Now, I believe we have got a few more questions in as well, like, why were the squirrels so tame? Zach, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so the squirrels were very tame, is basically because we did see other people feed these squirrels as well, and basically through a thing called evolution and adaptation, these grey squirrels, which have been brought to the UK, have been living in Woburn Forest, and Center Parcs has been there for a very long time, so they've definitely got more used to humans. And most grey squirrels are quite a lot more tame compared to many different animals, and the grey squirrel was definitely an example of that. So yeah, that's pretty much the hobby. Definitely a bird I absolutely loved. And I mean, it was a lifer for me, because most of you do know I'm quite a big bird watcher, and see the hobby was just incredible. And it was also very hard to actually find out the exact species. But yeah, just amazing. Another great animal encounter. So let's move on to our next one.
So this is an intro about my video called "What is the rarest animal I've ever seen?" Now these are a few of the rarest animals I'd seen actually before this video. We've got the black swan, we've got the adder, we've got the lynx. There's lots of really rare animals on here, but nothing comes close to what I'm about to say. I mean, you're not going to believe my eyes if you haven't watched this video. This is an absolutely incredible encounter.
I just got some footage of it on this railing. It was up there, so that one right there, and I've seen it go down, and apparently someone else has seen it down there. Oh, it's actually there. Okay, I need to get as much footage as possible. So this is the black and white squirrel. An animal I didn't even imagine I would see before I got to Croatia. In this shot you can see that the main part of the squirrel, including the tail and body, is black, but its chest does have a stripe of white. Originally I was expecting this animal to run away, but it actually stayed for about 40 seconds for me to get some amazing footage.
Well, there you go. The second rarest animal we have ever seen on AB. Zach's rarest one was the hawfinch, and this follows up with second. Now, this was an amazing encounter in Croatia. Now, I will say that this is actually a red squirrel, so we've actually featured two of the UK squirrels here in this video. We've done the grey squirrels, the non-native ones, and the native ones, the red squirrels. Now, these are called piebald squirrels because basically they're black and white. You can see they're mostly melanistic, but they do have a few albino pigments in them as well, right at the front of the chest there. Now, I've got a really funny story about this one. It's one of you or two of you might remember this one. Basically, I was in Croatia and I saw this bird called the Eurasian wryneck. Now, I didn't have a camera on me and I could hear it all the time. So I went to get my camera and I followed it around for about 2 hours, following the sound, and I just could not film it. I could not get a sight of this thing, which was really annoying. I came back up to the pool area and I just said, I couldn't find it. I was in a really bad mood. And then my dad, out of nowhere, I thought he was taking the mick, to be honest. He just said, I just saw a black and white squirrel. And I was just like, oh my God, can you stop lying to me, please? Because I'm actually quite annoyed right now. But no, he literally showed me a photo. He had a black and white squirrel, which you just saw there, the picture. It wasn't a great one, but he did get it. And then I went down a few days later to this railing on my last day in Croatia, and I saw this black and white squirrel, which was one of the best encounters I've ever had. He was there for ages, and then I found out loads of people around the hotel have been seeing this guy, because I went past a couple and they were like, is that the black and white squirrel you were just filming? So clearly this guy is a bit of a celebrity around this hotel in Croatia.
Yes, so we do have another question in here, or two, but I'll answer one of them. So, are any other animals are called piebald? Now, piebald pretty much kind of refers to it having a white chest and a black kind of coating on the top of it. Now, I imagine there's quite a few animals called piebald, as it's kind of like, the difference between melanistic and leucistic. And melanistic means fully black, leucistic means fully white. So I believe piebald is like the in-between. So yeah, what a great encounter. And let's move on to our next animal encounter. So this was on the 10th of September 2025, and this was definitely my favourite falcon we featured this year, the peregrine falcon. And I mean, it's also the fastest bird, the fastest animal to have ever have lived, the fastest bird to have ever have lived. It's just an all-round record breaker, and an animal that I am so happy we managed to film in 2025 and hopefully many more times. From this beautiful shot with the flag on the cathedral, we then got this. A peregrine falcon adult right in front of me on a tree near the cathedral. This was the shot I've wanted the whole time, a close-up. And just look at this magnificent beauty of a falcon. The world's fastest bird, the world's fastest animal, right in front of me, down my camera lens. After all this peregrine couple have been through, they finally won. After their eggs being destroyed, their nest becoming a crime scene, these peregrine falcons have fought every battle that has come their way. Well, the peregrine falcon, I mean, what an encounter that was. But I definitely have to say two things about this peregrine falcon. First of all, this was the closest we ever saw Albon, and I believe it is Albon, but it could be Baduka as well. And second of all, did you see his eyes when I was filming that? He was definitely trying to doze off, but couldn't deal with the paparazzi, or bird paparazzi, I suppose. But anyway, I did leave him alone after that and went down to a park quite near St Albans Cathedral. Now, St Albans Cathedral might ring a name to many people. You see, St Albans Cathedral was actually in the news, and the peregrines were, for a very sad reason. And that was because someone managed to get up on the cathedral and smash the peregrine falcon's eggs. And this was very bad, as I was filming them during this time. Not when the person did smash them though, but I did go a couple days later. And it was just tragic that them eggs were smashed. However, Albon and Baduka defied the odds and actually managed to produce. And basically, they had 3 more eggs, I believe, or 2. And yeah, 2 of the peregrine falcons fledged and have now gone. So yeah, it's just incredible, and they are definitely a super couple.
In this stream so far, we've already featured 3 different falcons. Now we've done the hobby, we've done the kestrel, and the peregrine falcon. Me personally, so far, my favourite has been the hobby, just because it was such an incredible thing, and I've never actually seen a peregrine falcon before, and I've not seen many kestrels, so to see that hobby was just really cool. So I'm going to say my favourite falcon in this so far is the hobby. Zach, what about you?
I've definitely got to say the peregrine falcon, because, I mean, I only really knew about this bird from Steve Matchell's Deadly 60, and I thought there's no way that's in the UK. And when I realised it was just incredible, and I thought it was going to be like, you know, like something I'll never see, because it will probably be in like a skyscraper in London, which will take forever to even, you know, see it. I just won't see one, where I didn't realise they were actually so close to me. So this was on the 24th of September 2025, and this was my trip to Scotland. Now, many of you will know and have watched this badger episode, and I absolutely loved it because it's one of the only hides in the whole entire world, and definitely probably one of the only in the UK where you can see badgers in daylight. I mean, look at how bright it is, and these badgers are foraging around. And getting that close definitely paid off. Look at this footage from my camera. Well, Scotland's badgers. I mean, how incredible was that? It was quite a far way and time to find these badgers. And some things many people don't know is that, in Scotland, I did not just want to do one episode. In fact, I was tried to film around 3 episodes, but unfortunately 2 got cancelled. One of them was about the red squirrel, and we did get a question about are there any red squirrels still in the UK, and that is a definite yes, and hopefully they will come on the comeback. But this year, I don't know if you saw, but Sky News did do a video about how red squirrels numbers are really rising, and it's been the best year for red squirrels. Unfortunately, that did not happen for me. You see, I went to Neil McIntyre's red squirrel hide, and it's got a very good it's got a very good rep of being very reliable for seeing a red squirrel, and I was super excited. But unfortunately, the day I went, he said he hasn't seen them in about 3 or 4 days, and I thought, well, today's going to be the day he sees one. I was very, very hopeful, but after sitting in there for around 4 hours, I thought, yeah, this might not happen today, and unfortunately it didn't, but hopefully it will happen, next year, because hopefully we're going back to Scotland next year to definitely make up with that encounter. So Thomas, do you want to answer another question on there?
Yeah, we got another question about what is the biggest bird of prey in the UK, I believe. Now, I'm going to give you the top 3. So in 3rd place is an AB favourite, the red kite. In 2nd place is one of the most known eagles in the world, the golden eagle. And then in 1st place is one you find a lot in Scotland, specifically Balamory, I believe, the white-tailed sea eagle, an absolutely massive bird. But it's quite rare to see, but has made a comeback here in the UK. And that is also the biggest bird in the UK, so there's nothing even comes close. Think about a swan. This guy is even bigger.
Alright, well, greatly explained. Now let's move on to our next animal encounter.
So this was filmed across 2 episodes. We made it a little series called the Trap Camera in September series. Now, we both put our trap cameras out in 6 different locations for 5 days each to see who could get the most footage. We did turn it into a competition and made a point system for it. Eventually Zach won, but we did both get some amazing footage, and we're going to show you our both favourite footage now. So this is the red foxes I've got every night in a specific location, 5 days in a row. I'm not 100% sure what they're eating. I think they eat worms out of the ground, which is quite cool. I think some people might have thought I was cheating putting food on. I genuinely didn't. There was literally, I don't know what there was worms, so it wasn't cool. I don't know what they were eating. I think it was worms. And yeah, this is Zach's amazing badger footage he got.
Yeah, so this was actually insane. I came back from Scotland not too recently ago, and then I put my trap camera literally, opposite a couple fields from my house. And I mean, it did not disappoint. This badger was interacting with the trap camera every single night and was foraging for food in this area. And it was just incredible because I travelled all that way to Scotland and then got one on my trap camera about 10 minutes away from my house, which is just incredible, and got some incredible and very funny footage as well, which I really did enjoy watching that back, and the excitement I got from it was just amazing.
Quick question in. We've got a quick question. Basically, it was, what is the scariest encounter we've had this year? Now, I'm going to say, most likely, we've had foxes, we've had some really big birds, we've had swans, we've had stingrays, we've had massive red deer. But for me, the scariest encounter was that cyclist lady we saw in the wildlife haven. I know it sounds crazy, but genuinely, I did not want to get caught and kicked out of there because there was some amazing wildlife there. But if you had to pick an animal, I'm sure Zach would agree, I didn't actually see them much. You'd probably say the red deer because this was in the rut season, and we're going to get onto that later, but yeah, probably the red deer. Yeah,
the red deer was definitely quite scary. Actually, there was one that I will talk about later, and I will follow up later, but it's actually a surprise for something coming up in the trailer. So let's move back onto this. So this was on the 29th of October, getting very close now, near to the end encounters, and this was the UK's most colourful bird. And I think a lot of you will agree that the pheasant and the greenfinch are very top contenders, as well as the parakeet, but nothing compares to this bird. I got a later encounter with the glossy ibis. Oh my god, we've got one. We've got one. There. I am so chuffed that we got this glossy ibis. The glossy ibis is a wading bird with a long curved beak found in wetlands across Europe, Asia, Africa and Australia. They are very social birds and are very known for their beautiful shimmering coat of purples and greens. Well, the glossy ibis, I definitely think it's the UK's most colourful bird. Now, some behind the scenes info on this was, first of all, this was around 1 hour and 20 minutes from me. So it was very far away and I only had around 2 hours to find it before I had to go back home. And it definitely was one of the closest times I've been to not seeing an animal, because I was there for the full 1 hour and 50 minutes, and then just when I was going back, I went in this hide and thought, you know, I might as well try it, and I was sat there around 5 minutes in. I was literally about to leave. I was very sad. I saw it, the glossy ibis, and from afar it did look very small for an ibis, and the only reason I can kind of compare it is because when I went to Australia around nearly 2 years ago now, I saw the white ibis, and yeah, basically called bin chickens. They're not as impressive as the glossy ibis. So let's move on to our next animal encounter.
So yeah, this was filmed in the amazing Antigua and Barbuda, specifically Antigua, which is where I were, placed with 365 beaches, meaning you could visit one 3 days. What I literally would say I had some incredible. I saw fish, I saw birds, I saw mammals. It was just one of the most incredible times of my life.
Day 3 started off absolutely unbelievably with an unreal encounter I really didn't expect on the beach. We have just seen another type of bird, a proper bird of prey. It was an osprey. It was just circling around over the water, and then we saw it fly off into the jungle. But that is a really, really good encounter. An osprey is something I've never seen before, and then flew off. Ospreys are elite hunters, using their big claws and amazing vision to catch fish, really slippery fish, in the water. Ospreys are migratory birds, which means this one was probably on its way down from North America all the way to South America, stopping off in the Caribbean on the way. What an absolutely unbelievable moment to see this massive raptor here in Antigua. Straight after the osprey, I got another massive seabird, this beautiful brown pelican. This specific species, the brown pelican, has a hunting technique that only themselves and the Peruvian pelican use, circling around and diving headfirst into the water, and I was lucky enough to witness this. First of all, the pelican spreads out its wings to control itself before plunging headfirst down into the water, sometimes from up to 65 feet in the air. It then will fold its wings back and scoop a fish up with its massive beak, and will swallow it whole.
So this was the incredible osprey and pelican encounter. Now, this was on my 3rd day out of 7 in Antigua, and it was probably my best 2 encounters. Now, I did wake up in the morning on my first day and saw about 5 species that I've never seen before, including the belted kingfisher, the grey mockingbird, the grey kingbird. I saw banana quit. I did get a hummingbird, and I also did actually get an Indian mongoose. Not a bird, but it is a really cool mammal. Not quite native to Antigua though. And this was definitely one of the best things. But as the days went on, the birds just kept getting closer and closer. And then eventually on day 3, I got the osprey, which is one of the most exquisite seabird hunters. And then we also got the amazing pelican, which was actually very common to see. I saw about 5 of them on one island, actually. What an amazing bird. We also did see frigate birds.
So I do have a question on the frigate birds. So the thing is, when you first messaged me saying, "Oh, you've got a frigate bird," I was like, "Oh wow!" I didn't know too much about them, but I knew they had a beautiful coloured red breast, and I thought they must be really rare. And then you basically kept saying, "I'm seeing loads of frigate birds. They must have been really common." But I've got one thing. You know how in the UK seagulls are viewed as like, they're very common to see, or gulls, because there's no such thing as a seagull. Was the frigate bird kind of viewed like that in Antigua? Like, how did the people of Antigua actually think of frigate birds?
Okay, so if you know football, you know Brighton Football Club are the Seagulls, probably the only place in the world where seagulls are actually quite popular. That is basically Antigua with the frigate birds. They are the national bird of Antigua, and they're actually really, really loved there. We had a boat tour guide. He just said, I asked, "What's that?" And someone else asked also. It was a frigate bird, and he was like, "These are loved birds here in Antigua," and he was telling me loads of facts about them because they just love them in Antigua. Now, these are really cool birds, actually, frigate birds. I'm sorry there's not one on the screen right now. Look one up if you want to. They are incredible. They're known as kleptoparasites, which means they'll find birds flying with food in midair, even things as big as the osprey if they're in a big flock. And then they will take the food off the bird, making them regurgitate it because they were just attacking them so much. And they are quite dangerous. They're scavengers. They're not hunters themselves, but they are kleptoparasites, popular in Antigua and also very successful hunters.
That's just incredible. Now let's move on to our next animal encounter. So this is our last best moments clip, and this was on the 11th of December. Now, it was actually filmed back in October when the rut was going on, and it was all filmed in just one morning. But what an early morning that was. It was a 6:30 a.m. start for me to get and travel to Bushy Park. But I mean, it just did not disappoint. Take a look at this. Oh yeah, I see one. He's massive. Look at him, he's coming towards her. There's a massive stag here. It's the biggest one I've seen. And look, there's a... Oh, he's coming over. I need to film this. Many people were approaching this, so I knew something massive was about to happen, and it was brewing up right in front of me. They're sizing each other up. Everyone. Here, two mature stags size each other up. There aren't any hinds in sight, but the battle for dominance doesn't begin with a fight. It begins with a stare and a roar. And then they start to practice. These aren't full-on fights yet, but they're powerful displays of strength. Antlers clash, muscles tighten. Each stag is testing the other and proving what he's capable of. Well, the red deer rut, that was just absolutely incredible. And I mean, at Bushy Park, I did say in the episode near the end, it's such an incredible place, promoting biodiversity and doing it with humans aside. Now, it's one of the only places in the world where you can get close up to the red deer, but I mean, it's definitely a place where people get far too close. It is recommended you stay between 50 metres, but you can sometimes need to stay around 100 metres. It's all about reading the behaviour of the animal, but you should always stay around 50 metres because they can charge up to 40 miles an hour in an instant. So even if you're 100 metres, it's still very dangerous. So it was definitely the most dangerous animal that we have filmed this year. Now, to answer another question was what has been the hardest to find and film? It was definitely the glossy ibis this year because it was a very long travel. The hawfinch is definitely up there, but it wasn't as long as a travel. Actually, saying that, I think it's the hawfinch. Glossy ibis was very hard, but I did get it at the end. I was very lucky, however, and same with the hawfinch. But I'd say hawfinch. But another thing that is very hard to find and film is the kingfisher, and we'll definitely have more of that next year. So Thomas, do you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, we got one saying, are the mongoose dangerous? Now, The answer is yes and no. To humans, they're probably not dangerous unless you touch one that has got rabies or something, which can happen, but it's very rare. But these guys are so aggressive. Think about honey badgers, weasels, otters, things like that are so aggressive. They're in the mustelid family. They can literally take out snakes and animals much more dangerous, more venomous, and even bigger than themselves. I mean, part of the reason they're actually invasive in Antigua is because, you know, they're so aggressive and can take out almost anything they see. There's no big mammals in Antigua. So yeah, the mongoose, to humans, not dangerous, but to animals, one of the most dangerous and fearsome predators you'll get. They're very territorial and very defensive, and they're very unpredictable as well, you know. Even if you're a human, it's not going to do anything to you, but it can get quite aggressive and a little bit feisty with you. We've also got another question. Will you manage to film the elusive tawny owl next year? Any plans and tactics? Well, obviously the infrared goggles. Zach, have you got any more plans?
Yeah, definitely. So recently I've been up to my granddad's and nan, and it's just been incredible to go there because there is this kind of hide, and yeah, I've been in it so much recently because it has loads of garden birds, and I did in fact manage to see a woodpecker. This will be one of I believe it is our first episode next year. So yeah, it's a great episode, a very chill and relaxing episode. And the tawny owl, the way that actually links in is because my granddad is looking to build an owl box. And if we do get an owl, it could be a barn owl, it could be a tawny owl, it could even be something like a kestrel that could go and decide to live in that box. But hopefully, if we even got a tawny owl in there, it would be it would just be amazing because we'd manage to, you know, use our trap cameras to basically get up close footage of a tawny owl. And yeah, it would be very, it's such an elusive animal. It makes me so happy when talking about it. So, now we are going to be moving on to our best photos. Now our best photos here are photos we've taken all over 2025. So we'll start off with me. This is Bambi, and this was basically one of my first photos, as you can tell, because I have actually had an Instagram handle change. I'm now called zachp.nature, but I was called zp_nature_photos. But anyway, this was Bambi. If you've watched AB, you'll know about him. This is a juvenile pied wagtail, which I photographed in the summer in my garden. This is Bambi yet again. Such a photogenic deer. That's mainly because of how close he gets. And then right here is actually a wild roe deer. Not Bambi, this one was found in a field. Definitely one of my favourite photos, or maybe my best photo of a roe deer, because just look at how the light goes on with the flowers in the background. It's definitely quite a stunning image. We also have a moorhen here, and I got this at a watercress nature reserve, and also this parakeet. We also had the grey heron here. And we also had many different species as well, like the long-tailed tit. And this was made, and Thomas will basically talk a little bit about this now. So the long-tailed tit.
Yes, the long-tailed tit, an absolutely brilliant photo. I haven't done much photography this year, unfortunately, but next year I'm definitely going to get back onto that on the Instagram. But yeah, the long-tailed tit, I really like this one. I liked how he was just on this branch, kind of going across the screen, and he was in the left-hand side, and he was looking quite curious. I don't know what he's looking at, but he looked very cute and very curious. This is the bird we've done a lot of content on, actually. We've done an AB advent, and we've had a short about these. So I really like the long-tailed tits, and we've got some more photos coming up now.
Yes, so some more photos. This was from the red deer, right? It may look a bit grainy. That's only because it's been put on this video. This is definitely very grainy. This is basically more red deer, and that was the rutting. This was very early on in the morning, and it just looked incredible on that red deer. Thomas, right here is
the mandarin duck. What a beautiful animal, often regarded as the most beautiful bird in the world. Now, I did actually film these a lot of times this year, and they've also featured in an AB advent, and in 2024 there was 3 separate episodes about these guys. They're absolutely stunning birds, and I do like these photos. Here's the great tit I saw also at my bird feeder, and I like the framing of all these twigs kind of going around. We've got some macro shots here of this bee on a lavender or bluebell. I'm not quite sure what they are actually.
Bluebell, that
Here's
is.
a Patagonian Mara right here. This is actually my Instagram logo, and this was also taken. That was taken at Whipsnade Zoo, and this is also taken at Whipsnade Zoo. A beautiful sunset, and this is probably my favourite image I've taken this year of the mandarin duck. Again, a nice close-up of all the amazing colours.
So right here was an adult pied wagtail taken in summer in my garden yet again. This was actually taken where the glossy ibis was found, and I'm not going to reveal the location as they are quite rare in the UK, and this was a little egret. We also had this just regular crow, which was actually taken, right near to Whipsnade Zoo. We also finally have this blue tit, which was taken very recently at my granddad's hide. Now we do also have another photo as well, and that was actually a kingfisher. Now we don't have it on this video because I literally only posted that I think it was today or yesterday. I can't even remember, my brain's absolutely gone. Yesterday that was posted of a kingfisher. So if you want to see that, head over to zachp.nature, and if you want to see any of Thomas's photos, always head over to tmb_nature photos. So yeah, thank you all for the feedback, everyone. Thank you Val Parkinson, thank you Michael, thank you ZT Trains. Where did you find the longtail? I'm pretty sure that location, it's quite near you, so we probably won't say, Thomas, but yeah, you can find them all around the UK. They're very common in the winter. Pretty amazing he actually saw one in the summer. So now we are going to move on to our trailers. Thank you Mixer Place for the awesome picks, and right here we have 2 trailers, and the first one, well, many people will recognise. I did this last year, some of you might not remember, but this year it's been rebranded and been called Zach's Hidden World of the Red Kites. Take a look at this. My name is Zach, and on this journey I will uncover the hidden world of red kites in the UK. Our journey will take us from the heights of the nesting season to the lows of winter. In fact, I like red kites so much that I have worked in the field filming from spring to winter, so enjoy. Well, Zach's Hidden World of Red Kites, that will hopefully be on YouTube. The first episode in around March, could even be as early as February. Now, we do have 2 episodes, 2 parts. We have spring and summer and autumn and winter. And for many of you who don't know, this has been filmed throughout the whole year. It started on January the 1st and is ending on December the 31st. It's been a whole year of filming for me, but I absolutely love filming red kites, definitely in my local area. And yeah, it's just incredible that I have access to these amazing birds of prey, and also how big they are, hawks. Now, a fun fact for everyone who you don't know is, a fun fact for everyone is that black kites were actually the kite that used to be in the UK, not red kites. And then red kites were actually introduced into the UK because of how bad their population numbers are around the world. And the UK is one of the best places to see a red kite nowadays in a massive, substantial population. Now we are going to move on to pretty much the most exciting thing next year, and I just want to go through it quickly before we start so you understand. Now, animals with a B. That basically stands for Wildlife with Zach, Wildlife with Thomas. The whole Animals with AB stands for our joint together episodes, but the AB stands for Adventure Boys, and Adventure Boys is coming back. Animals with AB, the whole channel, the whole branding is staying the same, but next year we're going to focus on a series called Adventure Boys, so take a look at this trailer. There are wild places hidden all across Britain, places bursting with life, waiting to be discovered.
And we're heading out to find them.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Thomas.
Together, we're setting off across the UK and sometimes the world through mountains, forests and coastlines, chasing the rare and remarkable wildlife it offers.
Out here, every sound, every movement could be something incredible.
You don't have to travel halfway around the world to find adventure. Well, Adventure Boys Series 1 is here, and Adventure Boys is back for many of you who know when we used to do this. And yeah, I'm just so excited, aren't you, Thomas?
Yes, the return of Adventure Boys is something we haven't actually been planning for too long. I think Zach came up with the idea in October. He texted me. I think it was actually when I was in Antigua, to be fair. And he texted me and he was like, I think we should make a series next year. And I actually do very much agree. We used to make series, used to make a lot of episodes, but they used to be put in series. So like series 1, episode 1 would be called 1.1. Now we're going to do that again, but obviously this time we're not going to be going to Brazil. We're not going to be going to Australia. We're not going to be going to China. We're going to be filming local wildlife realistically, like we can actually film the things. And these ones are going to be the highest quality we've ever made them, hopefully. And we've already planned out pretty much all of Series 1, which is quite incredible, kind of weird actually. But we've already done that. And my favourite episode idea is called The Apex Predators of the UK. And this one is going to be featuring the foxes, the badgers. Zach's going to find the badgers, I'm going to find the foxes. And then we're both going to come together at Whipsnade Zoo in Bedfordshire to hopefully find the Eurasian lynx, which is going to be hopefully one day introduced to the UK and can completely change our apex predator hierarchy here forever. And Zach, what's your favourite episode idea going to be?
Well, my favourite episode idea is in fact one that has never really been done on Adventure Boys. And for many of you who don't know, first of all, you might say this trailer looks a lot like Steve Batchel. Definitely the kind of style we're aiming for, but definitely a lot calmer than him. He is absolutely nuts sometimes. But anyway, my favourite episode is definitely one called, I think it's called Fastest or something like Speedy Animals. We don't know all the titles yet because they have to be decided, but we've got the concept down. And what that is we're going to go to Whipsnade Zoo yet again in Bedfordshire, and we are basically going to try and, well, we hopefully will find the cheetah in the zoo. And obviously, for those who know, the cheetah is the fastest land mammal in the world. And then we are going to go to Thorpe Park, and we're going to hopefully ride Stealth, which has the fastest launch coaster in Europe and in the UK, and that can go 0 to 80 in 1.8 seconds. The cheetah can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, so it is definitely a test on us humans versus the cheetah. Now, cheetah can exceed speeds of 70 miles an hour. They've never been recorded at 80, but it is possible. So yeah, I just can't wait for that. And then we will find, hopefully, a bird that is the fastest in the world. Now, if you've been paying attention, you will probably know what that is, but I will leave it at that. So yeah, Thomas, I just think this series and next year is just going to be incredible.
Yeah, next year is going to be absolutely amazing for AB. Just to let you know, we're going to have 10 episodes in a series. The final one is going to be a behind-the-scenes episode. We're going to release it in 3 batches. 3 episodes in March, 3 episodes in June, 3 episodes in September, and then in December we'll have the behind-the-scenes episode, maybe before December, you never really know. And of course we will have our wildlife watching with Zach and wildlife watching with Thomas in between, but they'll probably be a bit less regular because we're going to be working on this new series. Now, that is the end of all the things we've got planned for today. You feel free to hang around and we're going to answer every single question you come in with.
Yes, so one thing before we do talk about the questions is I just want to say thank you so much everyone for coming. We've had overall 29 of you been revisiting and looking at this stream, and we've had 12 concurrent viewers throughout the whole thing, and at the moment we've got 14 of you. It is just incredible the amount of people we've got on this stream, so thank you so much for all coming and basically listening to us waffle for a whole hour about Adventure Boys. Now, thank you so much, Mixer Plays. Adventure Boys looks great, can't wait. Thank you, Michael, for the great trailer. Thank you, ZT Trains, for the excellent trailer. We've been working on this since October, like I said. Would it be risky if the UK were to reintroduce links? So, let me quickly switch this over here. Questions. So, Thomas, do you want to answer that one?
Well, I don't think it would be risky. We're going to focus on this one in the Apex Predator video, but to be honest, I don't think it would be, but obviously I'm not the main person to ask. I'm not the one, making these decisions. Obviously, none of us are. But I do believe it would be good because the deer population at the moment is very, very high, and it's not bad. Everyone loves the deer, but it's going to get to a point where there is too many, and the foxes and the badgers, they just don't take them enough. Foxes eat mice, rabbits, rats, that kind of thing. Badgers, they're called the apex predators, but they're not exactly, big scary predators like you'd have lions or wolves or something. So, it would be good to introduce the lynx. In terms of human danger, nothing really. They're very shy. They are, they're strong, they're powerful, but they're not massive. They could do a lot of damage to a human, of course, but they're not going to. They're never going to want to do that for two main reasons. They're very scared of humans, and they're never going to try and eat us because we're way bigger than them. So they're never really going to be risky to us, no.
Yes, so right now we're just answering any questions you guys might have, and then after this make sure you stick with us as we do have the outro of 2025, pretty much just all of our clips added together, and yeah, it's just a positive outro, and that will be the end of this live stream. So I think we should reintroduce wolves. Now, that's more of a controversial topic. I think reintroducing wolves to the UK will never fully happen, and I really don't want to be the person to doubt it. However, lynx being in the UK is possible because lynx are a bit like, foxes. They will attack deer, which will be massively helpful to controlling deer populations. And the reason why we do want to control deer populations, and the reason why deer are, cold, is because they actually do destroy landscapes. And in the UK, with forests going quicker than ever from deer, it's just very concerning, and we do need more control on them. And lynx would be a very massive contender. As they don't attack any cats or dogs, and they don't want to be seen by humans. You'll rarely ever see them. So I think they definitely should be reintroduced to the UK. Lynx should. However, wolves, I think the problem with them is that they will attack a human if, the human is getting too close to them. They will, attack dogs or cats if they're getting too close in their territory. And I just don't think it will ever fully work. I think we could definitely have enclosures where, we could have deer and wolves in them, very big areas, but they must be like shut off areas, and only like viewing platforms where you can actually kind of see them. So you've got a lot of questions in here. So Thomas, were you scared swimming with the stingrays?
The ones in Antigua, no, not at all. The stingrays were, very, very safe. To be honest with you, they were more scared of me, and over time I did get to swim a lot closer to this guy, and they are always going to be looking for fish. They're never going to be looking for humans. To be honest, a lot of the attacks on stingrays, or so-called attacks, are actually accidental. If a human's behind a stingray, a big one, may accidentally turn and accidentally use its barb onto a human. Now, the death of Steve Irwin, that was completely accidental. He was probably a bit too close, and unfortunately it went in a place where, it's going to be bad if you get stung. But at the end of the day, I saw a small southern stingray in Antigua, a very safe species, and just never going to go for a human. Now, we've also got some more questions. We've got one from a long time ago, from Mixer Play, saying, what animal bird do you want to film or photograph? For me, I really just want to film badgers, to be honest. I've never seen them before, and I also do want to film owls. There's lots of amazing animals here in the UK. I would love to film also Seeker deer. I know they're down in Dorset, which would be really cool to see. And Zach, what would you want to film?
Well, what I really want to film continuously is a kingfisher and photograph. Now, if you see my nature photos, you do know I have been successful, and hopefully that carries on. But I think next year as well, I just want to expand our search for, finding animals more and more in the UK, and definitely revisit some animals as well, see if we can get, better footage and stuff. Will you do a beaver episode? Now, this is really interesting. You see, I've actually got 2 chances of seeing a beaver. First of all, I do know they're in Devon, I believe, and Cornwall. And in Devon, there's actually quite a bit of a population. A guy told me actually in the red squirrel hide, which obviously I didn't see the red squirrel, but I did get told about some fabulous locations. I also do have another location, and that is an estate, and I actually have a cousin who works on that estate, and they're looking to reintroduce beavers. And if that happens, obviously the estate is closed off to the public, but I can go there, and I have been there before to film the only wild antelope in the UK, so hopefully we can repeat that again. So we got a thing from Sticko Licko saying yes, hunting parties hunt deer, which is okay, which, yeah, it's controversial, but I think with me it has to be done, but foxes are sometimes hunted, so their population is depleting. Foxes' population is depleting, and it's not that great, but there is so many things in place to protect them, and it's been very controversial recently on, like hunts and horsebacks and stuff like that, but I won't go into that kind of stuff. And then, do they have water deer anywhere in the UK? Oh, well, the Chinese water deer is actually an animal that has basically escaped and also been released from Whipsnade Zoo and Woburn Safari Park. And in fact, I have actually managed to find these in the wild. I won't say where because, they've got a population less than 800, so they're even more rare than, say, a hawfinch, and that will definitely be an episode, Wildlife with Zach, coming out in 2026. Yeah.
When you go to Whipsnade Zoo, there's a safari there with camels and lots of deer species like fallow deer. You do get the Chinese water deer. Now they're captive; they can't escape, but some have escaped, and they're around the Chiltern Hills. Woburn's not far away from Whipsnade either, so there is now a decent population in that area of the Chilterns around Bedfordshire, and we do want to go there and explore them because they are really good for Chinese water deer. And another thing in this new AB series, I'm just going to leak another episode. Here we go. I want to do a search for every single deer species in the UK. We've already got roe deer, we've already got muntjac deer, we've already got red deer. It's just the 3 fallow deer, sika deer, and Chinese water deer.
Well, we've seen fallow, definitely.
And fallow deer. We've got fallow deer, at Bushy Park with the red deer. So this would be a really good episode to film all these deer.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the sika deer, we've never seen one. Chinese water deer, I have seen one, but that's in a separate episode coming out in 2026, so hopefully me and Thomas can both see one together. But I mean, they are so rare and very fleety. So we'll do one more question here, as we do need to move on to our outro.
I've got one as well. I've got a question.
Oh, okay. I'll do one here that says, do you have any top tips for us to see wildlife? I think the main top tip is just get outside. I mean, however you do it, like getting outside, going in the countryside. You could go to a nature reserve. That always increases your chance. But yeah, you've just got to research as well. I think the biggest tool I've utilised in 2025 has been the use of Facebook groups. There's many local groups that I have joined, and they've just showed me so many, places which I'm still going to visit for the future, because so many more come up of wildlife that I never even thought I'd have a chance of even seeing. So yeah, that's one of my biggest top tips. So Thomas, what was your question?
Yeah, my question came from Joe. It wasn't on the chat, it was direct from WhatsApp. They said, we've got 2 actually, sorry. We got one from would you consider selling an AB calendar with all your photos for the months, maybe next Christmas in time for 2027? Definitely yes. Especially because I am now doing more photography next year as well, and Zach obviously does a lot of photography. This could definitely happen. We could do 6 photos from Zach and 6 photos from me. That would be really, really good. We could definitely do a calendar in time for 2027, because I know you like your calendars. And how many different rodent species in the UK, and are they easy to film? I'm going to check that one quickly, because I am not too sure. There's going to be a lot.
Just to add on to the calendar as well, I have made one for the past 2 years, but I've pretty much done it for, family members and stuff, and it's just been my kind of stuff because, this year we were looking into making an AB joint one, but we just didn't have, enough photos from Thomas. But next year we definitely will make one, as hopefully he does more photos. So Thomas, back to that question you were going to answer.
Yeah, so there is 18 different rodent species in the UK. And the smallest one is the harvest mouse. I know there's a location where I have been to a lot of times. I do really want to film them. I'm not going to release that, but maybe on the AB chat privately I could tell you. And the biggest one in the UK is the Eurasian beaver. We've already had a question about them. I know they actually are I think they're in Newcastle somewhere as well. And we also saw them, obviously. Zach knows this estate his family member works at, so we can have a look at them then. So yeah, 18 species of rodent in the UK. Quite a lot. And there's also the gliss, which is, something we have done a short on before, something we do want to film. Obviously, again, don't want to release the location, but definitely a lot of rodents. And I do definitely think we do want to film them. They're hard to film, as you asked, because they're so small and often very skittish. But if you do see a rodent, I always try to film them because you just don't see them much. Even just a mouse, like to get footage of one of them close up would be really cool. So, yeah, definitely want to try and film some rodents in 2026, sorry.
Yeah, so just to add on as well, very quickly, that I have seen rats, mainly because, they're currently in my bird feeding stations, which is not great because, no one really wants rats. But, I haven't really filmed them yet, but I might get a little bit of footage, but, yeah, before, they might be kicked out from their little hidey hole in between, where my bird feeders are. And then the gliss, basically another leak right here is that I did film them this summer, but unfortunately the episode it didn't get edited in time. There was many different missing and corrupted files, which unfortunately happened when I was downloading them. I can definitely recover them, I just really didn't have the time with the amount of episodes we were doing. So that will definitely be coming out probably next summer in 2026, a Wildlife with Zach, or it might be in AB Series 1, you never know. But anyway.
Yes, we've also been in contact with someone called Wildlife with Cookie, who I have met in real life before, and also someone Zach knows through I think like Instagram or something. He's on YouTube, he's got about, I think, 75,000 subscribers, so it'd be very rare, and I don't think it's going to happen, but he has been in contact over the gliss, and Zach has said he does know a location where they're very common, so you never know.
Well, yeah, I have been talking to him, just talking to him, like DMing him, telling him about the gliss, because he really wants to find one and film one, but he doesn't know where to go. So yeah, he might be coming near me to one of my locations and I might be filming with him, which would just be incredible. So make sure to search him up. But anyway, that concludes our live stream this year. It's been absolutely amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for all of you coming today. It's been 1 hour and 25 minutes with this outro. Probably be ending up around 1 hour 27 minutes, so just stick with us for this last bit. But yeah, that's the last you're gonna hear of me and Thomas now. So yeah, thank you so much everybody for coming, and yeah, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas if it's a little bit late.
Yeah, thank you very much everyone for coming. We've currently got 15 people watching, which is absolutely amazing. We really appreciate it, and thank you very much for watching all our episodes this year. We've had examples where we've released an episode on YouTube without putting it on the group. It's not got any views. We put it on the group, suddenly the views have gone up, and then the algorithm pushes it out more, so more people watch them, which is really, really nice. So thank you everyone for watching the videos. Hopefully you also enjoy them. You're not just watching them for the sake of it. And yeah, thank you very much. Hope you had a really good Christmas and also a Happy New Year.
Thanks everybody. "2025 has been an incredible year for AB and for wildlife. An opportunity we never thought we'd have to film wildlife just like this. So here is all of our best moments in one clip. 2025 has been an incredible year, one we will never forget, one in the history books of Adventure Boys. But we are not done. We are just getting started. Episodes are being planned, episodes are being filmed, all in the return of Adventure Boys Series 1. Everything is underway because next year, 2026, is going to be the best yet.